Come on. Come on, do something. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. Yeah, you cannot jump into a misfortune like this. Welcome everyone to another Challenger Misfortune analysis. We are currently trying to learn how to use Corrupting Potion MF, and not only is this build super busted with a almost 70% win rate in Challenger EU West server, but also it will be a nice alternative as soon as the Dark Harvest nerfs hit the live server. So I'm still relatively new to the build too. I'm using it currently in ranked, and it's working, but I still need to do some fine tuning. Well, this guy Frilla is his name. He goes for Arcane Comet, Manaflow Band, Celerity, Gathering Storm, with Biscuit Delivery and Time Warp Tonic, and he does this because he starts Corrupting Potion every single game. As you can see, the Corrupting Potion. And the main goal of this build is to absolutely dominate the lane phase. So you just spam E, you max E by level 9 and max Q second, and try to poke out the enemy. And against the Kai'Sa Thresh lane with a Zyra support, the goal in the lane is pretty clear. You don't want to get all int by the Thresh, and Zyra has poke, MF has poke, so just poke them down so they can't fight you. Alright, they already lost lane priority because they needed to leash and the enemy just pushed them in. Sorry for that, I'm still a little bit sick. But it shouldn't be too much of an issue because even if they push these 3 minions very quickly, red team that is, they won't be able to get much out of the level 2 advantage because blue team is so close to their tower. Well, but the game plan, as I've said, is especially after level 6, if Zyra lands a... oh goodness. This is precisely what you don't want to happen, but if you don't just die from a situation like this, it's not too big of a deal with this build. As you see, Misfortune used 2 Corrupting Potion stacks and will be back to full health afterwards, or almost full health, and still has 1 more stack to go, so even if something like that happens to you, you don't need to play perfectly. That's the beauty of this build. It has room for error, especially in the lane phase. If you don't play perfectly, don't worry. As long as you don't die, you will be able to heal back to full. And Kai'Sa... okay, she started Doran's shield, which is a wise decision. Most good enemy AD carriers will do that when they see in Champion Select that you do indeed have Arcane Comet with you, because, well, they know you're going to harass them in the lane and they just want to get rid of the lane phase as soon as possible. So the first Biscuit arrived, and, well, this is even more sustain, and the extra mana helps with just spamming spells. This is really a caster Misfortune build. Alright, getting hooked the second time, close to the tower, which is very dangerous, so he burned his flash. Let's talk about builds real quick. I had a little chat with Frilla in the in-game chat client. No, what am I talking? In the client, in the chat, right? I asked him about his build and about his decision making. And he told me that he, in 95% of all games, he goes for Ghostblade into Dustblade, into Edge of Night, into Serrated Dirk, into Guardian Angel. And his boots are Swifties, except for if it's a tabby game, and what he means by that is if there is an AD Assassin on the enemy team. So a pretty straightforward build, doesn't need too much thinking from your part. I was talking while he died, but I don't think there's too much to talk about. He got caught out in lane, and yeah, the enemy were able to force their winning condition upon him by landing a hook. Not too much to talk about there, but he has bought a Serrated Dirk now, and he returns obviously with 3 Corrupting Potion stacks, which, well, the more often you... well, the more you trade, the better, because if you force the enemy out of lane, then you can push, then you can recall, then you can come back with full Corrupting stacks and snowball your advantage even further. because the enemy need to spend gold on potions and you don't, so you get an advantage out of that. Well, I was talking about builds because this is quite important. It doesn't require too much thinking, as I've said. The only deviation from this build is when the enemy have tanks. So if they have, I would say if they have a good rule of thumb, at least 2 tanks, then you don't want to go Edge of Night and more lethality. Then you want to go into Rapid Fire Cannon after Dustblade and Infinity Edge afterwards, and your 5th item again being a Guardian Angel. Frilla himself is not too big of a fan of the Lord Dominic's Regards or the Mortar Reminder. He just likes the Edge of Night better, but you can build those as an alternative, obviously. You don't need to follow this build strictly. You can kind of do your own thing if you want to. What is this noise? Was it Rengar ult from across the map? Probably. Okay. Yeah, as you see, well, I didn't pay attention to the lane. I'm trying to learn this build and I don't pay enough attention to the lane, but Misfortune was able to get a huge CS lead already. And this build is just so dominant in lane. And you can... This is one of the things too. Misfortune usually has a hard time pushing because she doesn't build a lot of attack speed items. But when you have pretty much infinite mana, with all the mana runes that there are, you can just use your abilities to push the lane super quickly. This maneuver, by the way, was quite safe, because the tower aggroed the minions first. It's the so-called minion crash dive. When a big minion wave crashes into the enemy turret, like it did here, then you can use the time the turret needs to attack the minions to position yourself in a way that you can sync up your tower dive with the jungler perfectly. Very low risk of dying, and if you get kills on the enemy laners, they lose all this farm, puts them even further behind. And as you see, already 22 farm difference. Kai'Sa loses all these minions, and Misfortune can further expand her item advantage. Okay, so working towards Ghostblade right now, and Kai'Sa's still sitting on a BF sword. But top lane, on the other hand, is not looking... Well, it is looking good, but right now the turret is about to fall. Okay, the Rengar stops attacking the turret. It's going to be a close one. I don't think the turret will live, actually. Or is it? Let's focus on bot lane, shall we? Okay, so Misfortune returned to lane, as she's supposed to. Because lane phase is not over until the turrets are gone, right? Or until they are sitting at inhibitor turrets, but let's hope that doesn't happen. Farming on a tower, a little bit awkward with little attack speed, but manageable with a lot of AD. And Kai'Sa is playing very far back right now, really respecting the zone the Zyra and the Misfortune are putting out. And the Thresh is not positioning too aggressively either, because obviously he wants hooks, but he cannot get hooks when there's a wave, since he cannot hook through minions, obviously. But he needs his health as a resource in order to fight, because he's a tank support. And if he eats a lot of poke damage from those two, he's just useless. So he cannot really zone either. Misfortune gets a free lane, basically. Rek'Sai going for the invade. Yeah, bot lane needs to react immediately, and they can do that. This is the thing. Bot lane has lane priority, and therefore... You saw, this is important to point out. Here, where's the moment? Okay. Here the fight breaks out. Rek'Sai gets jumped on, and blue team has lane priority. It means they can walk up to the enemy, but the enemy cannot walk up to them. Which means they can go directly through the river, while the enemy laners need to loop around here. Which gives blue team way more time to react. And this is one of the things this Corrupting Potion build accomplishes. It gives you lane priority in pretty much every case. Maybe a Draven lane is still losing, but even there you can do a lot of damage with poke, as long as he doesn't build lifesteal. So before his first back, that is. Yeah. Kai'Sa cannot really fight. She needs to farm her minions, or else she will get even further behind. And you see that? Instantly already clearing the wave. Just keeping the Kai'Sa busy and keeping yourself the option. This is another thing. Again, lane priority, and if something were to happen at the dragon, Misfortune can react immediately. Oh, did she overstep? Maybe a little bit, but Thresh gets caught. Yeah, when the Thresh returned, obviously you need to play that like a 1v2, because it is a 1v2. So avoid fighting at all costs. Never fight when you're outnumbered. No. A little bit of a misplay. Cost him his flash. Okay, Kai'Sa's down. Yeah. That's just what you get from infinite lane priority. Oh my god. The Rengar's coming in. Nah, the Karma's there. I just saw the mark above Misfortune's head, but Karma's there too. Nothing can happen. Yeah, 2k gold. Time to recall, definitely. Go split by Swifties. Ah, okay. So this apparently is not a tabby game, despite of the Rengar at the enemy team. Today I learned. Well, all Frilla really said about this is he buys Swifties, but he buys tabbies when it's a tabby game, quote unquote. He just called it like that, and he said you will know when it's a tabby game. And I would have guessed Rengar in the enemy team is a tabby game, but apparently it isn't. Yeah, Rengar plus Lee Sin. I would say that's a tabby game, but I mean, I watched his replays and analyzed them to learn from him, and if that's not a tabby game, then I should probably just accept this. Alright, so standard macro decisions, taking the enemy turret as a bot lane, and then rotating top lane. You could stay bot lane if Dragon is up, but since Dragon is already gone, the next best objective to take is top lane turret. This build also provides a lot of utility. If you didn't know, in case you didn't know, Misfortune's E has a slow on it, duh, but the slow actually scales with level. So at level 1, I think it's a 28% slow, and at level 5, it's a 62% slow. So you are not only having your E up way more often because of the lower cooldown with levels, but you also have so much utility with a 60% slow on the enemy. It's a very good combo with Zyra too, since you just AoE slow them for 62%. Yeah, you see that. And Zyra potentially has a lot less difficulties landing her root because it's a skill shot. Yeah, so there are obvious synergies. The same accounts for Morgana, pretty much any skill champion or hook champion. If you just slow them 62%, right? Free hook, free binding. Yeah, looking to take the turret. This thing is gone. When you get the side lanes pushing to the tier 2 turrets, what you then should do next is go mid and take mid lane turret. Obviously the enemy have to respond to the side lane pressure. Makes it easier to take mid lane. Mid lane is, generally speaking, the hardest turret to take, because... That was close. Because of how the map is laid out. I mean, it's very unsafe to go through this part of the jungle or this part, and very hard to ward either. Whereas as soon as you get control over Tribush, you can pretty much set up a dive already. Sorry. Yeah, just taking the the cracks. They see the Lee Sin and just collapse on him, yeah. Pretty basic. Yeah, he's getting super fed. Maybe he doesn't need Tabby that often because he always builds Guardian Angel, which obviously also helps against AD assassins and assassins in general. On the other hand, Guardian Angel is only his 6th item. There's not a huge wave, but a wave coming in top lane. And this is the reason he goes top lane. You don't want to fall behind in farm. Alright, Rift Turret mid lane. They should go to defend this. Yeah, easy. A Rift Herald that isn't backed up by the enemy team is obviously very easy to take. Can just loop around, hit the eye. He's camping. He's camping his control ward to assassinate somebody. What a goof. Alright. Will he go for the assassination? Yeah. There's no chance. The Kai'Sa overextends way too far. If this turret is gone, this is the thing. Connect the dots, right? Connect the turrets, and everything beyond this line, Kai'Sa was here, is unsafe territory. Because you have no vision, and you cannot see the enemy invading your jungle and collapsing on you. Getting some love taps on the turret. Barely not enough to take them. Yeah, but this is pretty much the thing. You just either back wave, the caster minions, and then auto each of them once, and you clear the wave in 3 auto attacks. Well, the back line of the wave. You know what I mean, right? I don't need to go that much into depth, I think. Come on. Come on, do something. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. Yeah, you cannot jump into a misfortune like this. It's a very similar situation to when you try to dive a misfortune. You, if she stays far enough back, you not only have to deal with the tower aggro, but also with her ulti. You need to disengage as soon as you see a misfortune ulti. It's basically a giant zone. But yeah, red team's getting stomped this game. This should be game over already. I mean, red team doesn't really have any counterplay. Ryze tries to do something split pushy, getting some turrets there. But what's the price you pay for that? Yeah, red team cannot defend themselves. And the important part, however, is that you don't get greedy. As soon as you take the free objective, you need to go back. Some people, especially lower elo, they just stick around, clear this wave, try to zone those two, and try to do damage to the Nexus turrets. But not only is the Ryze trying to take your bot inhibitor, but also if the enemy just, well, you're kinda heavy on gold, and having gold in your pocket means not having gold in form of items. And enemy, they have just bought, and full health, full mana, and they're just coming to get you. So don't overstay. Simple as that. Alright, Wraiths should be, or Raptors or whatever they're called. Yeah, should be misfortunes to take. Generally what you want to do. This game he also goes for triple lethality. Ghostblade, Dustblade, and working towards his Edge of Night. And we are approaching the 20-minute mark, which means the next best thing to take is Baron, obviously. Use the pressure you get from Super's mid lane and take Baron. You see the pings? They see 2 of them bot lane, and they know they won't be there in time. Baron spawns in 5 seconds, so they can just take it. Yeah. They see the Kai'Sa, they saw the Rise. They know it's free. Yeah. It's a little bit dangerous with the Lee Sin, they need to kill him instantly. Yeah, unlucky. But the important part is Lee Sin dies. Because, well, you have Smite, the enemy don't have Smite if their jungler is dead. And there's no risk of Baron getting stolen. All the jungler needs to do is to Smite. There's no 50-50 call or something. Inhibitor falls, but it's very much worth it. As a rule of thumb, a Baron is worth 2 inhibitors. Yeah. This game is one map pressure-wise. MF finishing 3 items and should be more than enough. I mean, the enemy don't have any tanks, so obviously you go for lethality instead of crit. And with Baron buffed, you should have no problem. It's getting a little bit sloppy, not gonna lie. Yeah, the safe play is not to go mid lane, but to just push the remaining inhibitors. As the Karma is doing. She just pushes against supers with Baron minions, which works, obviously. And meanwhile, top lane. And even though there's no Dark Harvest in this build, you still deal so much damage to turrets because, well, lethality obviously still works against them. Yeah, this tower is gone. I see so many people in lower elo just A-ramming it down mid, trying to just brute forcing through the Nexus turrets, but it's so much easier when you just take the free side lanes. And they are literally free. All you need to do is take them with Baron. That's exactly how you close out a game. Just slowly suffocating the enemy. Give them 0 chance of counterplay. Yeah, the overwhelming pressure here. No chance. They can try to get some kills, but even then, minions would finish it. Yeah. Alright, win lane, win game, right? So, to sum it up, you get lane priority with this build, you zone off the enemy laners, you get jungle objectives due to lane priority, and push the vision line into the enemy jungle due to lane priority, take the bot turret, take the dragon, take the top lane turret, and then go from there. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed. I today learned that that you don't need to necessarily buy tabbies just because there's a Rengar in the enemy team. What did you learn? Leave me a comment. See you next time.